This one marketing strategy has helped us open up 10 plus locations, and yet very few pest control companies are doing this. If I had to launch in a brand new city tomorrow with $1,000, this is what I would do. The strategy that I'm talking about here is postcards, and most pest control companies aren't doing it because they don't know how to do it right. But once you figure this out, it has a massive upsides. Let's get into it. So first of all, let's talk about why postcards still work. Number one, it builds route density. It's very, very hyper focused. You get very detailed in the neighborhoods that you're looking for. And in this industry, route density is what wins. So think about Google Ads when you're building a company from scratch. Yes, they do work very well, but you're going to have clients kind of all over the city. You're not going to have to be very, very targeted, where every direct mail campaigns, you can get very, very targeted to certain zip codes in the mail routes as well. So you get them very, very targeted because in this game, pest control or lawn care, route density is key. The next big benefit is that most people, like I just got done saying, is that they've moved online. It's way easier to just go online, to have a whole lot of work behind it, where less people are going inside of mailboxes these days. They stop showing up in the mailbox. They stop doing the things that actually work to grow a business back in the day. We all went online, and what I do also like about postcards is they're very, very high converting. If people do the call to action, they see that they have to call you, see they have a landing page you go to. It's very high intent to reach out to you. So you're going to close 60+% of every single call and lead that comes through. With postcards, you get hyper focused. You get actually go out and buy mailing lists as well. So you have to remember who your customer avatar is first. So let's just say, you're 60+% women. And maybe you notice that every time you service a house, they're in specific neighborhoods. Let's say in your area, it's homes that are 300,000 to 700,000, right? So the 300,000 and below, maybe they just can't quite afford it. More cancellations, things like that. But as you get into the homes that are maybe 800, 900,000, maybe $1 million, maybe they're just too high demanding. So you find that sweet spot that's like, let's say your example is 300 to 800,000. Stick with me in this example. So you find that specific areas, 50 car customer, that's between 300 to 700,000. They're female and they all drive a Porsche. So he said, man, like one talk to one customer, man, I really like that customer. He was really cool. They say yes every single time. Like I sell them literally everything. And he started to put these things together. Like, okay, he lived in a $400,000 home or $500,000 home. He drove a Porsche. And they bought everything inside this neighborhood. You can literally go buy a list from like Info USA, extremely targeted at all these exact avatars to look for, and you have very high converting mailing lists. And those people you want to send to on a consistent basis. So now they know how they work, let's talk about how to actually do them right. So the first thing it comes down to is design. And there's about 7 things that I love to see in every single postcard. I've seen thousands of them. Some of them just have tiny font. They have no call to action. They don't have phone number, but let's get into that. So number one, it's kind of like marketing. You get 1 to 3 seconds for the customer to look at before it ends up in the garbage. Like think it through it as a prospect. You go to you guys have all probably done this. You go to your mailbox and you pull it out and you see a bunch of stuff and you throw it away, right? You have 3 seconds literally to catch the customer's attention. So you have to have a big, bold headline. That's step number one, always will be, like any other form of marketing. You have to also have quality images. Don't use stock photos. Get good photos of your team. Your team member standing in front of the trucks. Maybe it's your wife, your kids, your girlfriend, your whatever, standing in front of trucks. Teams do well, families do well. And then maybe if they have a customer on there, but make sure to use real photos that are high quality as well. Next, you have to have an irresistible offer. Kind of like any other form of marketing, you have to have a good offer on there. Some examples could be maybe it's half off first initial, maybe it's a free termite inspection, maybe it's a free road abate box setup, maybe it's a free, I'll just give an example here, maybe it's a free exclusion, foundation exclusion, something like that. Just think about all the different offers you guys could put on this that make it really, really compelling for the customer call in. So it has to have an irresistible offer. Next would be you have to have a strong CTA, which is a call to action. Let the customer know, like people are so used to being told what to do. You literally have to tell them on your postcards what to do next. So they read your headline, they read your offer, Now the customer just needs to know what to do. So you have to have a strong call to action. And that is scan this QR code, call this phone number, which we'll get to that a little bit too. Make sure that on these, you have a call tracking number. Don't just use your cell phone number. Don't use the business landline. You want to be able to track every single lead and where it came from. And you're going to have different phone numbers for every single postcard they have on there so you could track it, right? So if you're going to send them to a landing page, make sure you have a landing page for each single postcard as well. So make sure you have a strong call to action so you can actually capture where these leads came from so you know which is converting. Number 5, I think we're on, is contact information. You have to have a way to get a hold of there. So again, make sure you have a contact information on there for the customer. You can have your website on there. You could have phone number on there. You could have some social profiles on there. Things like that will all help. Trust element. So make sure you always put a couple 5-star reviews. Then the person's maybe first name and last initial. And then a bonus tip here would be like the city that you're serviced in. So let's just say you went out and did a mouse job, and then the lady left you a review and how you were able to get rid of their mice, and then the city that you lived in. So you say Kim K left a review that said, we came out, we're able to get rid of all their mice, blah, blah, blah. And then say, Kim K, her review, copyright from Google, and then put the city that she lives in. One for sure, if not several of them on every single postcard. And then last but not least is consistent branding. Make sure all your postcards look the same. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people do is like every single postcard looks a little bit different. The brand's not quite the same all the time. So you don't build up that brand awareness on each campaign that you're doing. Later on in this, we'll talk about like how often to send these out, but make sure your branding looks the same across the board, from your website to your truck wraps to your postcards to every single thing that your customer sees. You look the same. So now that you guys have a good design, we're talking about your target audience. We talked about a little bit before about when you're out on the job, kind of get into the routine of saying, hey, this customer was that $400,000 house, they drove a Porsche, she was female, whatever. So there's a few ways you're going to find that information. Google and Facebook have a really detailed audience levels too. So if you're running ads on either of those platforms, it's going to tell you your target demographic, who's clicking on the link the most, who's purchasing the most. That's one good way to find it. Next is going to go, if you have an established client base already, you can look at all your clients that you have in there, like which specific neighborhood that they're in, what their average income level. And yes, it's going to take a little bit of time. You have to go through it step by step, but it'll pretty much tell. Like there are so many tools that you can use to either go into USPS or go to Info USA, anything like that. It'll tell you like these target demographics in each area, but you'll start to get a pattern, and then you start to get really dialed in of what your actual customer avatar looks like. Obviously, if you have a CRM with clients in there, you know the neighborhoods that they're in. We're going to get go in your census bureau. You can pull that up and see what the average income is for that zip code or that neighborhood. It's going to show you all the data, and then you can get really, really concise on who your customer avatar is to know who you're going to send these mailers to. All right, so this section is one of the most important sections where most companies fail. It's the when and how. And it's probably the question I get asked most frequently is when to send them and how to send them out. So we're going to talk through that extensively here. In the lawn care industry, back in the day especially, we used to call it Home Depot days. Like just as the people are starting to do projects, starting to do landscaping, it's that one weekend where everyone all of a sudden goes to Home Depot or a big box store to get all their outside stuff. They give just as the weeds start to pop, and just as mosquitoes are coming out, or maybe it's just as the fly insects are coming, anything like that is a good pain point to start sending these things out. But this could get very expensive and cost you guys a ton of money if it's not watched properly, because you have to watch for weather patterns, right? So I've seen many companies have this big aeration campaign going in the fall, and they were just sending these things out. They dropped and sweat. I want to say they sent out like 100,000, and they brought them all to this was, I think they were using USPS at the time, and they just dropped them. And as the day that they sent them out, they got a winter storm, and they weren't called for it. It was early, and they ended up getting like a foot of snow or something like that. I can't remember exactly at this point anymore. But they literally just lost thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. Same thing when it comes to rain and overcast. So if you notice that you're gonna go drop them off in a couple of days, and they're showing that there's forecast and there's rain in the forecast, don't send them out, hold them off. Same thing, it's overcast. You want this to be a nice, bright, sunny day because again, this all matters. As far as frequency, this is probably, if not the biggest mistake, it's definitely the biggest mistake. It's people, they'll go buy 10,000 door hangers or postcards. They'll go buy 10,000 postcards and they'll send 10,000 of them and broadcast them across multiple neighborhoods. You do it one time and they say just, oh man, just didn't work. Or, we got less than a half a response rate or 0.5% of response rate. It's just not how it works. I would rather take that same 10,000 people or say same 10,000 postcards and narrow it down to 2,000 people and hit that same 2,000 people 5 times a year. It's going to take these people 3 to 5 times for they even see for the first time to actually make a decision. I think last time I heard they had to see within 14 times, maybe 21 by this point. Different times for they even actually call or ask for a quote. So just wire frequency is extremely important. I'd rather see you guys hit the same customers 5-6 times per year rather than blanket 10,000 flyers all at one time. And next we're gonna move on to how to send these things out. All right, so now we've got to send these things out. I found 3 simple strategies to send these things out, and we'll talk through each every one of them. So when you first start a business, maybe you still have a lot of money. The easiest thing to do is maybe go put them in door slots yourself, which is not a bad idea. Second, you could hire your church group, a bunch of kids, and they could go out there and do for you. When I just looked online, it costs about 30 cents for USPS to deliver these things. So you could offer maybe kids 15 cents, maybe 10 cents per piece to get them done a lot cheaper. That's another way. And then the next way from there would be to actually do it through USPS. It's not terribly hard. You just go to USPS, you go to their Everydoor direct mail site. You can pick out the routes that you want. You want to look at zip codes, you look at demographics that we talk about, income levels, and make sure they're single family homes. They're not, this is obviously a residential example. They're hard about through all this. So make sure it's single family homes, they're not renters. Their average income is above where you want it. The average household is worth, maybe your example is 300,000 plus. And again, that you don't have any renters and you don't have any commercial buildings in there. Go through there, and then at the end, you click through. You have to print off some labels that they send you, and then you have to take your postcards, put them in stacks of 50 to 100, which is pretty simple. Rubber band them up, and you can drop them off the mailbox. And again, that's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, especially if you have someone in a team that has the time to go do that. And then the last example is you actually the place that prints them for you. A lot of times will have an option to send them out for the entire year, and you can pay a company just to send them out. And again, I like that, especially as you get bigger. I kind of like that because there's less tracking in your part, and there's make sure that it's just done on a consistent basis. Ability on our calendar, the zip codes they're gonna send them off to, and they'll notify you when they get sent out. So you don't want a spike of calls, leads that are come through, so you guys can make sure that you're following up with those leads. So the next thing I want to hit on here real quick is just why most companies fail. And again, I've talked to hundreds of companies across the country that tried it and they say it doesn't work, so they stop doing it. And I've seen businesses spend millions of dollars a year on postcards, and they brought in 10, 20 times revenue by just this one strategy. So I know for sure that it works. But the number one reason that it doesn't work, and I kind of already talked about it, is that they don't have any repetition. They send out one mailer to 10,000 people, and they get a few responses like, oh, it doesn't really work. It doesn't work that way. You have to do it 3 to 5, 6 times per year to the same customer, and make sure your branding's on point at all times. We talked about the offer, headlines, things like that. Make sure every single postcard has a different offer for headline. But if you don't, and you want to use the same one, just use the same one 5 or 6 times per year, and you'll get a lot better result. Number 2 is poor targeting. They'll go on to, USPS. That is blanket. They'll just pick a bunch of routes. They're not watching what they're doing. They don't know who to target to. And they're sending them off to every single person. If the annual income is $29,000, they're probably not going to buy your services. Compared to if you have another route that's, 80, 100,000 plus, the likelihood of them buying your services are a lot higher than the person that's doing $29,000 a year. Number 3 is no tracking at all. They put their cell phone number down there, their business line, and they don't know where they're coming from, so they can't say, hey, that phone call or that lead came from that specific postcard. They have no idea. They're just putting their phone number on there, or they're putting their website on there with no tracking link, nothing. So you can't even find where that lead came from. They can't track the ROI to that postcard. And every postcard, you'll find out, will convert different. These ones right here that are sitting in front of me, these are older. These converted well. Redesigned these even. The ones that converted a little bit better than these ones. But that's super important to make sure that you have a tracking number on every single one. I've seen people use QR codes. We tried that in the past. They work. They don't work super great. Not a lot of people scan them. I think like during COVID is like when all the QR stuff happened. So that's when we did them. They work super great. Maybe a couple people throughout the year did it, but it wasn't a huge conversion. So I'd rather have, call to action to be phone number or a website. Next, we're kind of talked about it too, is bad timing. We talked about the whole thing about that company spending, tens, thousands of dollars on a campaign, and it snowed the next day, and literally they had 0 leads from it. Make sure you're watching the weather. It's very, very important. And then make sure it's that time of year that they send it out. So if aeration's coming out, send out aeration exactly when everyone needs aeration. Or if they're having bat army worms, send them out the week they have bat army worms. Or if they're termite season, make sure you send them out during termite season. Everything applies. No clear call to action. Kind of already talked about that too. I told you early on, you have to walk steps through each one of these prospects. Like exactly what to do. Call this number. Things like that. Also, I didn't mention earlier, make sure you also have some urgency on there, right? Kind of talked about that, and scarcity. So you have things like, we're going to take the next 15 homes in your neighborhood, and you have until 7 days from now to call this phone number. The offer is dead. And actually live by that too. You guys can decide what you guys want to do from there, but make sure you have scarcity, urgency on all of your postcards. I forgot to mention that earlier. So make sure you have a clear call to action. Tell the customers exactly what you want them to do. No follow-up process. So I've seen people send these out that don't have anyone in the office. Then they don't have anyone answering phones. They don't have anyone, monitoring their website or their inbox. So they're not following up with customers for a few days, and they kind of forget, and they get put on the back burner. So make sure you're answering all your phone calls. You're responding emails as fast as you possibly can. The last one I talk about is like clear expectations. People think that if you're going to send out 10,000 of these, you're going to see 5,000 people call you, or so not realistic. You're going to expect less than 1% response rates. But what I do like about these is that they're high converting. Like I said, you're probably going to close 60%. If you send out 1,000 and 10 people call you, you can close 6 of those 10. And so for some of you, that could be, $25, $26 to $100 plus. So that's what I really do like about postcards, are high converting. But those are the top 7 reasons why most postcards don't work. All right, so hopefully this video helped you demystify postcards a little bit. This is a really big strategy that we use to help grow to 10 plus locations in a short period of time. And if you guys are looking for consistent leads and high quality leads, postcards are a great way to get those leads in, and an easy way to scale your company. So just make sure to have your design, targeting, and timing all done, and you guys will get a ton of success from your postcards. As always, thanks for watching. If you guys have any comments, questions, make sure to drop them in the comment section below. And if this was very helpful for you, make sure to share it with a friend. It'll help us in a tremendous way. Talk to you guys soon.